Hey guys, what's up? Zach here, or ZeTutorials, and today we're moving on to part 3 of our website creation series, where we're going to create this navigation menu. Now, if we hop into Dreamweaver, I just created these header tags here and a little bit of styles just to save time. Basically, what this does is the asterisk followed by your curly brackets and the margin and padding means that the browser won't put in its own padding and margin, because browsers usually, if I just show you really quickly, this is what it looks like with the asterisk. The reset is what it's called, and this is what it looks like without it. So that'll just get rid of all that margin and padding that you have there, so leave that in on every web page you create really. And then the header just has a width of 100%, meaning that it will take up the whole width of the browser. It has a height, it has a background color of that, and it has a border bottom so that we can see that right there. So let's move on with getting our nav set up with this rollover. Now this is created purely using CSS. There is only two images, which is this this color here, this gradient, and then the gradient inverted, and as you can see they are only 1 pixel wide by 33 pixels in height, and that's all you need, so it's really web optimized. So let's quickly hop into Dreamweaver here and create this. So we're going to create the source code first. We're going to create the HTML first. So we're going to use a new HTML5 tag, which is called nav, and we're going to close off that nav. That just means navigation. You should use this. Then we're going to give another tag called nav ID, and we're going to call it nav center, and this will just center our whole nav, because as you can see from here, the nav does go 100% and then it centers here. So that's what that whole tag is going to do for us. And then we're going to close that baby off. And right now we need to do our A tags. And our UL tags, and what our UL stands for is unordered list. Now there is ordered list and there is unordered list. Mostly you will be using unordered list, so UL, followed by LI tags, which is what's going to hold your text, for example. So inside the LI we're going to have an A tag, which is going to create our link. So href to wherever you want. I'm just going to put the pound symbol right there, just because there's no point in having a link anywhere when we don't even have any pages created. So let's call this one all lists, a little bit of space in there, and close off that A tag we just opened. And then that is done, and we're just going to copy this for each one. So I'm going to copy this 6 times, and just like that we have our HTML completed, and that's all we did right there. So again, we have our opening nav, which is going to be our 100% with our gradient. Then we have our centering nav, which is going to center all of this text. Then we have our ULs contained inside that. We have our text with our links. So let's hop on into styles here and let's create this. Now, first tag we created was nav, so we're going to do that first. Then we created an ID called nav center, and we're going to create that. Then we created a UL, so nav UL. You can just call it UL, but nav UL will specify that it is only the UL inside the nav tag. So if you create a UL later on in the page, it won't still have this styles, which is a handy little tip. Then we're going to do nav A and nav A hover, which is going to be that little hover effect. So colon hover is how you create that, and close off that curly brackets. So let's start off with the nav. As I said, it does have a width of 100%, and this is where you're going to put your height as well. So the height is 33 pixels. And right now we're going to use that background image that I did create earlier on in Photoshop. As I said, it is just 1 pixel wide by 33 pixels in height, which is the height of our nav. And I have it right here. Click OK. And it's very small, so it is web optimized, as I said. And then we're going to have a background repeat. When you don't have a background repeat on it, it will mess up somehow. So in older browsers particularly. So background repeat X, so it's going to repeat along the X axis. And if we look at that in the browser and refresh, it's perfect. So let's go to the nav center, and this is where we're going to create our actual centering tag. So we have the width of the web page to be 900 pixels because that is the width I am using. Again, this is subject to what you're having. Margin left auto and margin right auto will basically just center that in the actual tag. Otherwise it will be pushed to the left or pushed to the right, and you need to have a margin left auto. That's just the tag used to center, as I said. Moving on to the UL, which is the unordered list. We need to have the list style as none, otherwise we're going to have this these bullet points and these underlines and stuff like that. So let's have that list style style as none. Onto the A is where most of our styles is done. This is where we're going to have them to display horizontally instead of vertically. As you can see, they are displaying vertically here, so we're going to have display inline, and I can't spell today, inline. Then we're going to have our float as in left. So when we float left, it basically means that the next one inline, so this guy here will come up on top here left, this guy will come on top here left, etc. So if I refresh this, oh, I never saved. If I save this and refresh, as you can see, they're all in line here with their stuck together, and that's just a little bit of padding. Moving on, we need text decoration as none, which will be our underline. Then we're going to have our color as white, so our text color will be white. You can have either write down white or put the pound symbol FFF, it's all the same. I prefer using the pound symbol, but that is just me. Now we're going to specify what family we want the font to be. So this is any font you really want. Now you want it to be a default font that every browser will have, just because your computer has a font. Like if you downloaded Babus New, which is a font, and if your computer has it, doesn't mean the web browser will have it, which means it will default to its own default font, which you don't want. So you need to specify at least 2 fonts. So right now I'm going to do Times New Roman, which I know that every relatively new browser has. But if they are on an older browser, we can specify that after that, if it doesn't have that, we're going to have Times, and if it doesn't have that, just a serif font, which is this style of font. And then we need to have, we'll just refresh that there and take a look at how it's looking. Okay, it looks pretty good. I need that to be bold though, because it doesn't look right otherwise. So font weight is where you get your bold, and we're just going to go all the way down to bold, finish off with our semicolon, and now we need to have our padding so that it won't be all stuck together like it is right there. So let's go to padding, and we're going to have, let's go 5 pixels from the top, 18 pixels from the left, or from the right, sorry, 5 pixels from the bottom, which will center it for us, and 18 pixels from the left. And let's see if that fixed our problem. And it did. As you can see, it is nicely spread out now. Now these 5 pixels here for the top and the bottom don't actually need to be there. You could do what's called line height. So you could put line height is 33 pixels and that'll automatically center for you, but I just prefer doing it with padding, so I'm going to do it that way. Now we need to have our hover, which will give us that nice effect. So we're going to have a background image of our new image, which is the rollover, which is just our background inverted. So let's refresh that, and as you can see, that is not working right. So we need to fix something to do with the height. So let's just put the height as, I'm gonna guess it's 26, 27, 25 maybe, 25 pixels, which should bring down that little error that we got there, which probably wouldn't have happened if we used line height now that I think of it, but as you can see it's still off. So it's a bit less than that, but you can mess around with it yourself. I'm just gonna say 23. As you can see, that did fix it there. So now we have our rollover nav. You can mess around with this whatever way you want, you can edit it yourself, but it is web optimized. If you want to make a link, you just come over here to where the pound is in the source code and put in the link you want. It's simple as that. And that's it, guys, pretty much done. So there we have our rollover nav created very, very quickly, and this is the finished product of the web page. And we're going to create this all. So if you want to see more, make sure you do subscribe. I would appreciate a like, maybe a favorite, because these do take some time. But thank you all for watching. This is Zach or ZeTutorials. I will have a review coming soon of a gaming headset. I just need to get writing the script and stuff. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and this is ZeTutorials signing out.